I know a lot of you wanted a dedicated review for the Kefine Klean, but this is something that I really wanted to know. I wanted to compare the Delci with the Klean just to see how they hold up, because I've seen a few comments in my on my YouTube channel where people have felt upset that they didn't wait for the Klean or they bought the Delci. So anyway, I just thought I'd nip this in the bud, spend some time with this, and I have to say both of these are really terrific IEMs. I really do like both of them, but it's the finer details that really split them apart. So let's talk about the build first. Well, when it comes to that, what's really nice is both of these do come with two very cool looking cases. The Delci comes with this leather sort of little pouch with the ear tips in it, which is nice, and this one comes with a fabric pouch, which is definitely a very cool touch to it. And within this, you do get the extra ear tips, and you also get separate sort of tuning nozzles, which I'll show you in B-roll because they're quite small. And you can sort of swap them out with the silver nozzles. There are black and silver nozzles with the Klean, which is of course a nice touch. You get two slightly different tunings with those two different nozzles. And then both of these do come with very good cables. They are very high quality cables, of course. I won't go into the absolute specifics of it, but I'm sure if you're in the market in shopping for these, you'll know exactly what they're made out of. I do have a dedicated in-depth review for the Delci. You can check that out, and I will leave it in the description below. This one, however, I have not done an in-depth review. I've just jumped straight into this comparison, but it is very well built. Now, one thing that's kind of obvious is they do have similar components. Now, this is the Klean's cable. And this one is the Delci. So you can see the similarities between them. They are slightly differently colored, but they're pretty much the same component that they have used, of course. Moving on to the IEMs, both these IEMs are metal, so you can of course hear it when I bring it close to the mic. That's the Delci, and this is the Klean. So both are metal. So when you first put these into your ear, they will have a sort of cool feeling to the ear. Some people like that, some people don't, but it doesn't take long to acclimate to the temperature of your body, of course. So these are both definitely very nicely finished. I do like the design they've got on the Klean. It is a bit different. It's not as simple as the Delci is, of course, but I do like both of these to a certain extent for their simplicity. Both are very simple looking IEMs, of course. Now, none of these IEMs come with microphones, of course. These are dedicated towards playing back your music in the utmost detail possible. So if you're here looking for a set of IEMs that has a microphone, these aren't it. Or if you want to swap out the cable that has a microphone, you can always do that. But straight out of the box, they do not come with one. Moving on to a sound front, when it comes to both of these, they are very easy to drive. I think they've got very similar numbers when it comes to their impedance or resistance. I have plugged both of these into my desktop setup, which includes a D50S, a topping D50S DAC, and a Shitlear 2 tube amp. So I did want to sort of level out the playing field over there. But when I did start listening to this, I was like, hang on, not everybody has access to this kind of hardware. Not everybody's going to be listening to it with this kind of equipment. And I chose to shift onto a portable DAC amp, which is a little Hi-Fi Go Link that I have. And it's a very capable little DAC amp, which I've always liked. And I pair it with all IEMs for all my testing. Now, if I'm being honest, I have done a whole bunch of A/B testing in the past with other comparisons, be it IEMs or wireless earphones, headphones. But I never thought I'd be a bit stumped, which I was when I was doing this, because I've not done so much A/B testing before, because these two were so similar in their overall sound that I was like, hang on, I really have to focus into the absolute nitty-gritties of how different each one is. So honestly, if you are looking at the Klean as an upgrade, I wouldn't say look at it as one. I'd say both of these are kind of peers in a sense. One might be more affordable than the other, and so on. But don't be upset if you've got a Delci and there's a new Klean out. On a volume front, I've been listening to these mostly at maybe 25 to 30% volume. They seem to respond very similarly at that volume level with all the A/B testing, and it's very comfortable at that volume. Now, I think when I push them up to maybe 40, 45% from my device that I'm listening to, it gets a bit too loud for me. So I wouldn't recommend listening to this above 45% volume over prolonged periods of time if you do intend on preserving your hearing. When it comes to its imaging, both of these IEMs are not exactly the most technical sounding IEMs out there. They are sort of more rounded when it comes to its imaging. Edges are sort of curved a bit. They're not throwing daggers at you, which I do like, because there are some IEMs that I've heard in the recent past that are, they try to emphasize too much detail. Though terrific for technicalities. If you're into that kind of thing, it makes a lot of sense to look at those kind of IEMs. But this is for the person who does not want to focus on every single nuance. They just want to enjoy the music as it is. Now, these do manage to bring a sense of layering to the overall music that you're listening to. Of course, provided you are providing it with a good source, and by that I mean a good audio file, whether you're streaming from Apple Music or if you've got some FLAC file, FLAC audio, and also the hardware you're using. I mean, don't plug this into an affordable PC and expect that to have a good DAC and amp, but you definitely need something like, I'd say, as good as an i5 GoLink or better with these. When it comes to their soundstage, I'd say they're again kind of similar, but I feel as if the Delci does have very slightly more expanse, and I mean very slightly more. It does seem to have slightly wider presence and slightly taller presence with some music. Not all, it's not happening all of the time. It does happen kind of very rarely, but when it does happen, it is of course very enjoyable. But all in all, great left and right separation, good phantom channel from both of these. When it comes to the timbre or timbre, if you will, they both, well, they're not the truest sounding IEMs in the market. Then again, they're not the most expensive out there. And usually the more expensive ones tend to lean more towards being more natural. But I do like how these handle it. They don't sound disconnected. They don't sound, unoriginal. They don't sound totally unnatural. They are leaning more towards a natural sound, of course, especially with acoustic instruments. Where they do shine more so, I'd say, is more with vocals. A lot of vocals do come through with a lot more truth. But when it comes to that in particular, I am leaning more towards the Delci. The Delci has a slightly more rounded approach, or should I say a truer form or delivery of its overall vocal presence for any music. Then of course, when it comes to its other elements like its highs, mids and lows, I'm not breaking it down like I normally do. This is not an in-depth review. This is just an unscripted comparison, a quick one for you guys. The highs, I found the Delci to maintain a certain sense of sparkle that the Klean just cannot do. It's stuff from classical music, instrumental music, stuff where you are recording audio, say in a very open space, say in a cathedral, things where higher frequencies can linger. The Delci does manage to maintain a good level of energy with those specific frequencies over the Klean for sure. It's not that the Klean isn't able to produce those kind of frequencies. It does, but it's not as energetic in that area. And the thing is, the Delci, it's not that it's overly energetic where it's being aggressive and poking at you. No, it does it very, very, in a very supple manner. It's able to give you all that detail and excitement and that shimmer in that zone. But when you shift over to the Klean, now this is again, like mentioned before, only when you're really nitpicking and A/B testing both of them, you can tell that the Klean isn't as apparent as the Delci in this range. Apart from that, I think most of the higher frequencies do come through very similarly, be it snares, cymbals, that kind of stuff it manages. I'm talking about the stuff slightly in the higher range, things that sit in the echo and reverb sort of area. So all in all, in the high frequency range, both are not aggressive. They are very easy on the ear and great fun to listen to. Moving over to the mid range, well, both of these again do handle their mids very well, but I'm again leaning towards the Delci because it does seem to have a more rounded lower mid range than the Klean. The Klean is not thin sounding, but it does sort of sound as if the lower mid-range for female and male vocals is a little bit recessed compared to the Delci. The Delci is a little more natural sounding over there. It's a little more weighty, it's a little more hefty. The Klean does manage to push through a lot of detail. It's not that it's missing out on that. Sorry, truck going by. But it's not missing out on that, but at the same time, it does remain enjoyable. Now the thing is, it does not get sibilant, it does not sound chirpy, it's just about missing that because it's Kefine has managed to maintain a good level of warmth in this range even with the Klean, but I'll say that I'm leaning more over to the Delci because it is again maintaining a more of a sense of warmth. It's maintaining a more natural overall approach in the mid-range. So for vocals or for any instruments that sit in this range, there's a good separation between them. There's a good amount of layering. It's well detailed enough to really enjoy with both these IEMs. But because of the slightly more roundedness, I do prefer the Delci here as well. And moving on to the low frequencies, this is one range that both of these have a solid amount of heft because one of the songs that kicked on was Say Something, Justin Timberlake, and the kick that this has in the bass, both of these were very, very up and ready to go. Both of them really did want to sort of, it's almost as if they knew they were clashing against each other, and both of them were just trying to really sort of push out a lower rumble that I didn't think either of them could do. Now the thing is, I've got a feeling that it could be the fit of the Klean that may make a difference with some people, because the designs of both these IEMs are slightly different. The characteristic of the way it tried to give me the lower frequencies was very similar to that of the Delci, but at the same time it wasn't as tight sounding, it wasn't as sort of mature, upright posture as the Delci. Something tells me it could be because of the fit of it, because the Delci, of all the IEMs I've ever tested, it's one of the best fitting IEMs that I've ever worn. Now this is obviously shape of ears, the kind of ears you have, the shape, the way it fits into your ear is going to be different with every individual. So I think that could be the biggest contributing factor to why the Klean sounds different, or should I say that much different to the Delci, of course. But again, having said that, the Klean does have a very good bass response. It's not overly done, it's not bloated, but it's got a terrific kick to it. In fact, it does sound like both of these have a very similar sub-low kick in that lower range, as well as in the mid and upper bass region. So I think that recess in the lower mids that both of these definitely have contributes towards that feeling as accentuated. But it's possible that a lot of people will feel that there's more segregation in the lows and the mids with the Klean than they will with the Delci, because the Delci does not have as much of a roll-off in the lower mid-range. So again, I think because of the way it fits the Delci, for me, I do prefer how it handles its lower frequencies, of course. So all in all, on a sound front, I think both of these are terrific sounding IEMs, of course, but the Delci to me just about edges out the Klean. It's just a little bit better. It's just a little bit more mature. It's a little bit warmer with its overall approach. It's a little bit more sparkly in the high frequencies, of course. So for me, that's the one to go for. It's a little more musical. It's a little more magical sounding compared to the Klean. Now, I hope I'm not offending anybody from Kefine when they see this video, but which, by the way, you guys are watching this at the same time they are. This is just a demo piece that they sent me out. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is, if I had the option, I'd choose the Delci over the Klean for sure. So if you also do want to buy it, that's the one I will of course suggest. So anyway, moving on to the price. If you are planning on picking up the Kefine Klean, it does have a maximum retail price here in India for 4,999 rupees, but you can buy it for about 4,699. But if you are planning on picking up the Delci, however, it does have a maximum retail price of 7,999, but you can pick it up for about 5,990. Now that is here in India. I will leave the dollar cost of these as well up over here, and the links down below as well for when you do want to pick these up and from where you want to pick these up. Now the thing is, yes, there's not too much of a difference in the overall costing, but at the same time, if you can stretch a little bit more and get the Delci, this is just purely my opinion, I'd say spend the extra cash. Go ahead with the Delci. It is a tried and tested set of IEMs. A lot of people have reviewed these, have lived with these for a much longer time than they have with the Klean. I know the Klean has been out for a few months now. I'm a bit late to this review, but I really do like how the Delci handles everything. It's just a lot more musical. It embraces you much better. It gives you a much nicer experience. At least that has been my overall experience. So anyway, there you have it. That's my quick comparison between the Klean and the Delci, and I do hope that I've helped to make some sort of purchase decision. And of course, if you would like to help support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning in for some sound advice.